Hello and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another 24/7 news report. Starting out with the big news today, Newcastle United are pushing ahead with the signing of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. There is still work to be done and talks not finished, but Newcastle are closing in on their long-standing target. This is all from Luke Edwards from The Telegraph. Although Everton had open talks to extend Calvert-Lewin's deal, the player is keen on the move to Newcastle. A fee is still being negotiated, but there is some confidence that a deal could be struck. Newcastle also need to sell before buying. And also coming in from Chris Waugh from The Athletic, is Newcastle interested in discussions for Calvert-Lewin. There is no agreement made, with a number of moving parts complicating the move. There is no desire to complete a deal, and talks have been ongoing for a while and could still be ongoing for a while. We did run a poll on the Toffee Blues Twitter, which you can find at Everton Newsfeed, where we asked how many Everton fans would like to either sell, were happy to sell, were unhappy to sell, or were in the middle. We ran a vote with 2,600 fans, so thank you all for watching, with 32% of those saying yes, 26% saying maybe, and 42% saying no. So it is a real in the middle with Calvert-Lewin, and I think that is quite understandable. His performance has been lacklustre at a lot of points. These injury problems, I think he really started to come good towards the end of last season, but I can understand why some Everton fans are saying that this is one where if he leaves, it's not the end of the world, especially for the right fee, and especially if the business it looks like the club's doing right now, which is bringing in young players with standout physical attributes, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. But yeah, I can understand why a player like Calvert-Lewin, who's had his injury history, and even when he has played, has struggled to score the goals that you really need to keep you in this division and that you really want from a striker. So I do understand it. I think it would be a huge loss, and I think expecting Beto and Chimiti and Morpé to be your strikers that can contribute, I just don't see a world where that's a big possibility, and I think it'd be one where Everton have to bring in the striker, whether that's a Tammy Abraham on loan, whether that's an Adebayo from Luton, someone like that who can score the goals that can replace Calvert-Lewin. I think it'll be a difficult one, but I can understand why Calvert-Lewin wants to move. Newcastle are ambitious and are in a much better situation than we are right now, and I can also understand the situation of the club of selling him, to be completely honest. So yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it. I think it's one of those where I think the poll's about right, where whichever way it happens, it's not the end of the world as long as the right fee's brought in. Of course, if we sold him for 10 million, it'd be a different story, but 25 million, I can completely understand why Calvert-Lewin wants to leave and why the club would accept that. But moving on to some news that also involves Newcastle, Everton are looking to bring in MINTEH from Newcastle, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin moving in the opposite direction. Both deals would help the clubs with their respective PSR issues. That was on Sky Sports News. And from Dimarzio, Everton are in talks to sign Newcastle winger MINTEH. Roma are interested in signing MINTEH for 30 million euros. However, Marseille and Everton are further ahead in their advances. MINTEH's an interesting one, so I'm going to read off a few stats for you here. He has 10 goals and 5 assists in 27 appearances, 17 of those being starts. He's only 19 years old, but he's soon to turn 20. And I think he's someone who'd really fit a Sean Dyche system. He's pacey, direct, loves to press. A player who really would put some optimism at fans, with Iroegbunam coming in as well, bringing in these young players with really strong physical attributes and could develop technically. And it's not like MINTEH's bad technically, he's still fantastic technically. If you have a look on his FB ref page, it's all in the so if I read this out here, his non-penalty goals, his non-penalty XG, his non-penalty XG plus XAG, his progressive carries, progressive successful take-ons, touches, and progressive passes received and tackles are all in the top 1% of wingers across all of Europe's top leagues. Now that he's in the Eredivisie, you've seen players like Alireza Jahanbakhsh tear apart the Eredivisie, Hakim Ziyech, Anthony. There's a lot of tales of misfortune coming out of the Eredivisie, especially for wingers. So I can understand it, but at 19, I trust Sean Dyche's ability to develop young players. We've seen it with Jared Brantwaite, Vitaly Mykolenko. At times, we've seen it with Nevin Patterson, James Garner. So I think it's one where I think it'd be a good move, but 30 million euros with the amount of money we have right now, which is in question. Of course, there is the rumours that we may have now solved our PSR issues with the possibility of Lewis Dobbin going to Aston Villa, which we'll get to later on. But yeah, I think it's one of those where it's interesting to see where it goes. I think it'd be a good signing if we can do most of it in instalments and add-ons. But yeah, I think it'd be a great signing for the club to bring in MINTEH. Also, coming from Paul O'Keefe, Everton want Armando Broja, which Broja's an interesting one because I think we've seen in some of his performances for Albania this year was that he's got a lot of talent, but the goal scoring's never been there. Even when he played for Southampton, I think he made like 20 odd starts and still only got 6 goals. Really struggled at Fulham last season. Had his moments at Chelsea when he was given the chance to play, but you know, when I think his most successful goal scoring season was at Vitesse, and that was still only 10. So I think it's one where if it's a free loan, you can't really say no. But honestly, bro, yeah, anything more than 15, 20 mil, we're being scammed, I think, because the production just hasn't been there. So I think if it's a free loan, then yeah, maybe I'd be interested. But to be completely honest with you, Broja feels like one where maybe he needs to leave English football to really develop into what he can be, because I just don't see it being in England with some of the performances he's put on, especially in a Fulham team that Rodrigo Muniz showed that they can score goals and can have a talisman up front. Moving on, Everton have officially signed Tim Iroegbunam from Aston Villa for an undisclosed fee, which is rumoured to be around £8 or £9 million. The 20-year-old central midfielder has agreed a 3-year deal until June 2027. It looks like, as I mentioned, very highly rated from Villa fans, has a lot of physical attributes that could be good, and the technical attributes can be developed, only 20 years old. Someone who looks to maybe be in a bit of that Onana build. Again, if you're an Aston Villa fan, please comment below, because you lot know about a bit more than Iroegbunam than we do. Good interview on the Everton channel. Seems to be someone who has ambitions to do well. But of course, every player looks like that in those interviews. But yeah, I think it's a good move from the club. And of course, Lewis Dobbin is going the other way, apparently. The Villa deal is still ongoing, but I expect that to be confirmed at any day now, which is apparently big news for our PSR problems. Moving on now to the Freedkin ownership group. Roma Vice President Ryan Freedkin will assume a new role in the management at Everton. Dan Freedkin's son will personally oversee operations in Merseyside, while Dan will work in and out of Rome and Liverpool. That comes from Republica. I've heard some good things about Ryan Freedkin, about being a big football fan, being a smart businessman as well. So I can't really focus too much on it. Again, if you want to hear more about the whole Freedkin ownership group, make sure to check out Ellis's interview with John from the Roma Press. I think that's the best place you can look for information about that and the whole situation. But yeah, it looks like Ryan Freedkin will be the one taking control. And again, wishing the best of luck. I think having someone with a little bit of knowledge about football is going to be great for the club. And the last bit of news we've got today, which comes from Richard Jolly from The Independent. The Freedkin Group have injected £200 million in the club, repaying a £158 million loan from MSP Sports, Andy Bell and George Downing, also providing further funds for the short-term running of the club and construction of the new stadium. Fantastic news. Debt's being paid off already, and Freedkin hasn't even officially taken control of the club yet. It's fantastic to see that now these debts, which have been a big problem, are now out of the way, and we can now focus onwards and upwards with the Freedkin Group as owners. But yeah, as I said again, before I mention it again now, make sure to check out Ellis's video. It's fantastic. Gives you real insight from a very knowledgeable Roma fan, not Roma journalist, on the Freedkin Group and the positives that are looking to come to Everton with their takeover. But if you enjoyed this video, thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Everton Newsfeed and follow me on Twitter at Callum. And I'll see you all for the next video and or live stream that I am on. Goodbye, everyone.